Hello. Happy New Year on my channel. We have done Happy New Year on Terrence's channel. So if you have missed
True.
it, please check it out. Just a couple of days ago, we were like kicking this week with a punch because we decided to do that this special episode. I don't know if I've ever done special episode. Have you done on your channel? This
Um,
kind of like
I
year in
don't
review
think so. I
kind of
mean,
things?
it's kind of been a while, to be honest, because I'm so into the
Yeah.
routine of we have our Sunday chat, I have my Sunday wrap of what I've read, and then that's it. Like I have
It's
one
kind of
night
cool.
where I do videos now. Very rarely I'll do something else. Like when I got that Batman Artist Edition, I did a live stream. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like the Corbin stuff, I've done a couple of streams about that. But like
Yeah.
otherwise, in the past year or so, I've been a lot more scheduled with
Yeah.
this is my window, this is my video day, this is my talking comics day, you know what I mean? So
Not sure if
yeah,
anybody's still gonna appear. We're gonna go back to
yeah, I'm
normality
gonna
on.
post it on mine as well too.
Oh, okay. Um, coming back to normality. Is Lillian already back to school, or is she going to school just Monday?
Tomorrow she's back to school. Tomorrow is the first
Like,
day.
okay, so it's like the same like what we do. So yeah, we have to take my son
Yeah,
into school already, and he's not pleased with that whatsoever. He's not happy.
really?
Yeah, he's like, why? Okay. He's like disappointedly agrees. Okay,
Right.
okay, I'll go to school. So it's funny. It's funny how it is. But anyway, so we're back square one again. Forget about this
Yes.
holidays. It's in the past now.
Yeah, holidays are over.
Yeah.
That's it. Back to work, people. There we go. I
Yeah.
just posted it on my YouTube
Oh,
feed
cool.
as well too about people to come over and
Yeah.
if
Come on,
people are
say hello
around.
to us. Anyway,
Yeah.
so what we made a decision on do. Well, Terrence this is all Terrence. He decided to.
I forced her. You don't
Yeah,
have a choice.
I've been forced into this. Okay, so he's like,
That's right. Yeah.
we're doing this, whatever we liked in 2024,
Yeah.
in each whatever way possible. We like it also. So don't. We're not gonna put. I don't know how is Terrence because we didn't really agree about it. But
Nah,
I know
I don't
myself.
have like a number one or something like that. I just have
Yeah,
stuff that I
I'll go
enjoy. Yeah.
random. Yeah, I'll go random. Like I have one this the heaviest purchase I've ever made comics related, and I'll show it to you, which is
Oh, sweet. Yes.
so it's kind of funny, like that kind of weird stuff.
Hmm.
It's like as we discussed prior to this chat when we press the right button.
Yeah.
There's not really much of like screaming our asses to like in 2024. It doesn't seem there was like something like big or ginormous, or maybe I missed on it, or somebody probably has something amazing going on there. But when you have a pull list, it's ongoing. Most of the series are,
Yeah.
and you don't really have something like. No, it's still ongoing. So how can like in this year, maybe I did enjoy whatever they've written, but it didn't stand out to a point of like mesmerize me.
Yeah.
Like on
Yeah.
2024.
And I agree with that. Like there was plenty of good reads. There was
Yeah,
maybe one book that I would put in like, holy shit, that was quite an experience. But it
yeah,
really feels different than previous years where it feels like in previous years I've had some stuff that's really stood out kind of head and shoulders above a bunch of
yeah,
other stuff as something really exceptional. So there's still a number of books that I really enjoyed, but yeah, it does feel a bit different and I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe it's just kind of we're seasoned veterans now of the YouTube and comics and things. I mean, I think that also may play a part in it.
oh,
I didn't make my reading list, for example, this week, or this year rather. So I feel like there was also maybe a little bit of maybe taking a break a little bit from the
mm,
overabundance of comics I've read in previous years. Cause I mean, I think last year I did over 700 books, closer to 800 possibly. So it just felt like there was maybe a little half a step back away from comics. Cause I know both of our pull lists dramatically decreased. Like mine is it's so goddamn small right
mm.
now that there's maybe 4 books on it, I think,
Yeah,
so
yours is smaller than mine now because I have couple of books more extra because I, like you dropped that one, Turtles book,
yeah,
which you said up, I couldn't be bothered.
yeah,
And then I continues to read it. It's just a comfort thing. I think
yeah,
Turtles became a title where it has to be in my pull just because. I
Yeah.
have that. It doesn't matter how it looks or what it feels like. Maybe I'll give you my opinion about. So there you go. There's the first category. A comic book which just feels like you have to have on the pull list. So and this is the title, even though I'm
Yeah.
not really creative team. So a big milestone for this book maybe last year was finishing the run of Sophie Campbell and all the original Eastmen and the creating team. So 150th issue came out that year. So you could say that was quite a crazy long year run. But I put this book into a bracket where this book needs to be part of my pull list just because it's so comforting. Because I've been having this title maybe more than 10 years now, because my pull list, I've been doing it 12 years now YouTube, so I guess my pull list has been like this 12 years, so for 10 years, so solid decade. I don't know how.
That's crazy.
And I'm not sure how to shake it off. So because
Yeah.
it just feels like I need to have these brothers in my family in monthly series. So I continuously being stubborn and keeping that. So that's my first book. I guess we can do this way, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a comfort book, but I guess I'll start with my like for me, I was saying to Ross before we went live that normally I have surprisingly, I have a few Marvel and DC books. This year I've only got one from the big two, and it's from DC, and it's the Zatanna series that came out this
which I actually told you about
5 issues.
And I told you about it, and you're the one who actually picked it up.
Yeah, well, because it didn't I was skeptical, to say the least, as I am normally with Marvel and DC stuff to get into. I think lately I've been burned too many times as far as, hey, maybe I'll try out this new Doctor Strange series. And then I try it out and it's just absolute junk. But yeah, I mean, this one I had read, she was a part of the whole, those Blacklight comics, that series, whatever that offshoot thing was called. And then you were telling me about it, and as soon as I looked through the book, picking it off the shelf, and I saw like this level of art and coloring, I was immediately interested to grab it. This is from issue number 4 here. So, and I think that's one of the things that might make an appearance a few times in both of our lists. Stuff where the art is what kind of made this one of my favorite reads of the year. The story itself was good enough. It was serviceable enough. It kept things moving, but honestly, the art is the real sale here for me. It is so gorgeous by Javier Rodriguez, right? So written by Mariko Tamaki, drawn and colored by Javier Rodriguez. So there's the credits there. So the art is what puts this in kind of the top tier for me. Just a fun book, and honestly, when they do a collected edition of it, it's one of those that I could easily recommend to people, because it's just a good time.
I wonder what kind of, like, are they going to be just traditional, like format, whatever they, or because it's such an artsy, it's a Black Label, is it?
Yeah, it's a Black Label one. Yeah.
So I wonder what, because I don't even recall seeing any collected edition Black Label books and how big they are.
I don't either, actually. Now that you're saying it, I don't know if I have.
Conventional trade paperbacks, because that Black Label, especially with that kind of style, especially the panels looking like big and expensive, and the color schemes, I think it would deserve to have a bit bigger size. But it depends, was it popular enough? If enough people have picked it up, and is it worth them to? I presume they will collect them in trade paperbacks, that's for sure. I think that's no brainer, I presume. But
I think so too.
I wonder how big it is, because I don't, as I regularly collect those kind of things from the big titles, like big names like Marvel and DC. So in the same surprise, well, I am. This is one of the titles from DC, but it's an old school thing, and this is what I am the most happiest for this year. I really wanted this for very long ass time. And I kind of like I'm not sure like where I heard it or I've seen it. I think somebody probably on YouTube mentioned it, and this is that facsimile or whatever reprinted versions, which is ginormous journal size book. And honestly, I read it through. I talked to you guys about it. I even drew the panel of it, and it's just absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And I really like the story. Of course, it delves into that storytelling where, you know, of the time, and you can clearly see it and feel it. But I still love, because it's written. Where is it? Who is it written by? Oh boy, why am not seeing who's written it so easily? Is it Daniel O'Neill? No, cannot be. Is it?
Yeah, don't remember.
Oh boy, it doesn't even show it in the. Where is it showing it? Wow. Sorry, my preparation is not so great. Like always, put myself in the spot. Well, I know that, you know, O'Neill is the Neil Gaiman is the artist.
So, based on an original story by Danny O'Neill,
Yeah,
but
there you go.
adapted by Neil Adams. Adapted by Neil Adams. So,
So
I don't know. If
it's Neil
kind of did
Adams
a
through
lot
and through.
correct or not.
Yeah, I wonder if it's Neil Adams through and through. Then
Mhm.
I think, but I can't even see the title. That's the thing; it doesn't even say
Yeah.
to you anything about it. But anyway, this is history. You know, like Muhammad Ali. And with your, I'm not a boxing person, watching boxing, but I definitely knew of the personality of this boxer and how important in the history he has placed himself. And then Superman, you know, like something unconventional of two kind of like one real person and one superhero who still gets on the pace of this kind of magnitude. So when it came out, I bet people were as surprised as before. But I just really like the art, and of course, this kind of pages, which is kind of very
Huge.
memorable. So one of the more memorable books for me of the year for me. So yeah,
Awesome.
so
That's cool. Kind of, it's funny because you bring that up, and it's like that's actually quite a few books that I have this year. Stuff that came out that I was excited about because it like either was a celebration of an artist I like, or it was like a completion. So in the completion note, my big one for this year is Scoitin's No Gigon, which is from the Hollow Grounds trilogy from Humanoids. And this was the last one that I needed to have all three of them. So it did cost me a couple of bucks, but honestly, I'd been thinking about it for so long that it was really worth it. And I'm so glad that I finally got my hands on it. So same kind of thing, like these bigger oversized European album formats are glorious when they're filled with Scoitin art. This is a story that kind of, you follow the story to the halfway point, and then from the halfway point of the book, it starts going backwards again. But what he does is he mirrors the page layouts. So once you start in that middle, as you start going back each direction, the page layouts are the same, just flipped, and the characters are moving through the spaces at the same as they were when they were introduced. It's a phenomenal little bit of trickery, but it works so well, and it's an engaging story. I love Scoitin is easily top 3 artists for me. There's no doubt about it. And I love all the stuff that I've gotten from him over the years, but this was a really exciting purchase to kind of finally get in the mail. To the completionist in me is very happy now with these 3 books. So
that's cool. I mean, at the end of the day, you wanted something. Now, so this one, I have to, because it's so bloody heavy, I have to show it. But this is the biggest, size-wise, the biggest purchase of the. Go down! I can't even pick up in one hand. I don't know why did they do this to us, but I'm very happy about it. But this is the monster. This is the monster, the biggest
unbelievable
book.
Unbelievable. Make yourself big there again.
Yeah. Oh, okay, wait. It's not so easy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's proper gym exercise. But this is the biggest book of the year, which I
just
managed.
A fucking stunner. Look at that. It's gorgeous.
It is a beautiful book, but it's very difficult to open. And they came with this advertisement leaflet. No wonder it's called monster size. I don't know, it's like absolutely thing. So I am huge fan. I don't know if people are not aware of it, but I'm a huge fan of Hellboy for a very long time. I was thinking about collecting those library editions, which are absolutely stunning, but there are 6 of them, and some of them it's just a bit more pricey than this one monstrosity. It doesn't contain all of it, unfortunately, after you find out when you purchase, without doing, but still has a major amount of continuation of the Hellboy universe. God help me, I'm gonna try to show you a page. So, and in comparisons to a comic, do I have a comic to compare? Yeah, let me show you Spawn. Oh my goodness, this is kind of a bit too much going on. Okay, go Spawn in the middle. And in the don't think that yet. Can we? Come on. In comparison to comic.
Yeah.
So it's still big. So yeah, this is the category where sometimes graphic novels go out of hand, but makes people a lot very happy. So you can hug it. You can.
Yeah, you can sleep with it. Use it as a pillow.
You can forget
Kill
about
a man with it.
Yeah, you drop on somebody's head from the height. They done. Honestly, it's just like proper. Like, look at this.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Look, compares to my head.
I had a visitor as you were chatting early on. Did you say how many pages it was total?
No. Let me see. Do they have it numbers? Oh, something dropped. Oh my god. Wait. Let me see what's this in front. 1,501. At least the story starts for last story starts 1,500.
Wow. So, unbelievable.
Yeah. So this is like, honestly, it actually sits really well on the lap. So when I was reading the Corbin, remember I was drawing that happened, and that's why I remembered. Thankfully, I have this beautiful book, which I'm doing it now. So I was doing this art.
Oh, yeah, nice, yeah.
Hellboy Monster Size, and that happened on the last year, January to the 10th. So it's kind of fitting. It would be a year now that I have that. So yeah, it's kind of it does have some Corbin and stuff in here, not all of it collected, but it just follows the Hellboy through its life, and of course the first few pages it tells you his origins and so this is the giant of the year. For sure. Awesome. I don't think any other years coming this is gonna win, but I think people were having similar monstrosities. I think I remember Sleepy Reader showing in his video those Kirby universe.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure are they as big as this, but this is
don't think so. I mean, that's over 1,500 pages is a fucking monster.
I think I heard the compendiums have like reaching 1,800s.
Oh pages. Wow, Jesus Christ.
But that's even more scarier because compendiums and generally they have to use a lighter paper stock. And I'm not sure because I have Uber Alles edition of Stray Bullets, which I keep on telling you should read. And that already has funny spine, to be honest.
Oh yeah, shitty. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I saw also they release Image Comics now doing that similar stuff of compendiums. They're doing that Invincible compendiums. So they have a graphic novel, like not graphic novel, one meant hardcovers, but they also do soft covers on Invincible, and they are giant. Like they are really big. I've never seen them in the shelves on the bookshops, but I've seen people showing them off in their collection.
Ones in the bookshop or the store. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
Invincible. I've not watched TV show. Apparently people liking it, but a comic as always wins because if you start with comic first, it just doesn't. I mean, it kind of makes you happy, but knowing how far that comic is going and how brutal it's gonna go because they don't pull punches and it's not really for kids for sure because you just see eyeballs flying through the pages and Ryan Ottley. Spectacular. I think that one is just basic. It is Kirkman's work, but Ottley took over because of his art. It's just another way of saying Ottley kind of owns it because it's just so spectacular to look at. and
Right. Yeah.
consistent as well. Very consistent. I mean, I'm a 75 issue run, I think, or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's ginormous. So
Yeah.
do you have
Crazy.
any ginormous book in your?
No, but sort of keeping with that, I guess it's ginormous in the amount of books that it is. Let me see if I can do this.
Oh boy!
I think
It's gonna show
one
off
of the
now his
things
collection.
is, oh boy,
Yeah, it's gonna
maybe
be
you
difficult.
can't see it there.
No.
I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
my camera is limited there. So this is all the Corbin stuff that has been coming out this year.
Oh yes.
This book over here is the Hellboy Corbin collection. So
Yes.
I think that's like the amount of pages that have come out from that Corbin library, and then again keeping it with Dark Horse as well. It's been impressive. I love, whoops, come on there, camera, sit still. There we go, perfect. It's been impressive that they've managed to put this stuff together. A lot has come out this year. I also got my hands on that creepy Richard Corbin work as well too, so that's a hefty tome. So I guess all combined it's a lot, because that's all from within this year, I think.
Yeah.
Except for, no, Murky World was this year as well. Wasn't all of this year? It possibly was. I can't remember now for that first volume, but
I think
they do a great job. It looks like they did on that Hellboy as well too. They're beautiful books. That Hellboy Corbin collection is a gorgeous one. They did such a fantastic job. It was so much fun to read those stories, because it's just a really engaging world. And I think like all of the artists that I've seen, especially Mignola, obviously have looked like they really fit the Hellboy universe, but there's something special about Corbin doing some Hellboy stuff, you know, the Crooked Man, things like that, like iconic characters like that, right? So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you watched Earl Grey's video of his favorite stuff, but he mentions Dan and Corbin stuff, and he's saying that they churned out so many Corbin books out in the 1 year. It's ridiculous. And they continuously, hopefully going that, but because you wanted, you remember you saying that you're looking forward to see that for, you know, like other works which you
I can't wait. Yeah, exactly. Once they're done with Dan. Yeah, I haven't watched Earl Grey's new one. I watched the previous where he was talking about his favorite reprints of the year, and he had some Modesty Blaze in that one as well too, which was cool to see.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched his newest one yet.
No, but that wasn't on the same video. You with Modesty
Oh, was there
Blaze.
Corbin in that video? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so he has 2 parts for his best. So he starts from the 10th onwards, and I guess he's finishing on the 5, and then he's gonna do another video, which I already posted, from the 5 to 1, I presume, because this is what it was. So he mentioned about Corbin and Dan, and how many works and how beautiful they look. But he's saying that he saw some sort of printing issues, like in Dark Horse comic. It wasn't as like clear in some pages. Maybe there was something. Maybe we didn't have.
I mean, and that was the thing, doing the comparison, right? Because I did the same thing with, like, if I had the Heavy Metal magazine or the Catalan stuff or whatever, like sitting and doing a side by side, there was always some panels that were better in one edition than the other. But I think generally what Villarrubia has been doing has been exceptional. I mean, the one that stands out to me, which I think is in volume number 1 right here, the page that stood out to me where I was like, my mind was blown, was, it's not in that volume. Anyway, I'm not going to be able to find it. There was one where it really was like seeing a brand new page when I compared it to the previous editions. There was things in that one image that I had never seen anywhere before. It was this kind of wide shot of like a mountains and clouds and things, and it was gorgeous, the detail that he was able to pull out of it. So yeah, there's some panels that are a little bit maybe not optimal when you compare it to other ones, but I think for the most part they've done such a good job, and I can't wait to see what they've got for this year, you know. And that Dimwood, the one I was talking about, Dimwood, the one that's never been published before, that's going to be amazing.
So best recommendations from Comic Crack category.
Yeah.
So, this I wouldn't have picked. I wouldn't be picking this up if you wouldn't have recommended it, and by chance going on eBay and picking up first 8 issues of the series. I will lucked out on that. eBay, sometimes you do kind of do it, and it was very cheap, and I managed to get hold of them. And this is series best recommendations from Terrence so far. I mean, for that year, honestly, I mean, there's lots of things we were both reading together, but I think this one it wasn't on my radar until I mean, I wasn't my radar because of Wes Craig, but I was so doubting because it's only his work and like his own writing things. I wasn't sure how much, and then you said just it's really worth it. Go for it, and I did, and it
Mhm.
was really something I always enjoyed. And of course, we have been treated with color and absolutely fantastic motion comic book from Wes Craig. So this is my I put this in these brackets where great recommendation
Cool.
comic, which I absolutely love reading and continuously having in my pull line. Look, issue number 23, so strong
Crazy.
recommendation.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was looking in my book.
Oof.
It didn't make my list this year
Yeah.
because it started number 14 in this year, and I feel like there's
Mhm.
been a little too many kind of down
Yeah.
moments this year. Still an enjoyable book, still one that I'm picking up. It just didn't kind of make the cut. There was other stuff that nudged it out, and one of those things that nudged it out for me.
Okay, go on.
Well, there's a couple of things I think that nudged it out, but honestly, one of the things that nudged it out for me was Grommets. This was a super big surprise for me, and even though it's not done, so I'm always a little hesitant to put stuff on a list that's not finished, especially
Yeah.
because there's only one issue left. The only reason it kind of made the list was because 6 out of the 7 issues are out. Like they'd really have to shit the bed on the 7th issue for
Yeah.
this not to make the list, right?
Well,
So this was such a nice surprise, and it's such a funny, like legitimately funny book. Characters in there and an environment that I can identify with. Not that I grew up exactly like these guys, but I was in that kind of world doing some similar stupid things to these kids, right? So
Yeah.
it's so great. Really highly recommended for the year.
Cool. There you go. Next one is this is a surprise, and it's in, as I say, I don't there's no number one or something, but this is story wise, reading wise, the art wise, I was extremely surprised by it, and it was recommended by a lot social media. Let's say this, a lot of YouTubers were raving about this one, and I wanted to see what is all about. And I'm talking about Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. I highly recommend anybody who likes a little bit of horror with a bit weird, like childlike art on it, but it's so like it's really thought out storyline. There is the point. It's the first issue. I know how he won a lot of people is by this first issue. This first issue was really strong. It came out like okay, this is beautiful sleepy town, Woodbrook, like everybody's enjoying themselves, and there's this underlying dark secret the way it is, and didn't pull any punches whatsoever. I'm not going to show because it maybe some people will gonna read this if you have not yet. But honestly, this is such a surprise of read and the creator, and I'm glad to say that he is, because of the successful of this book, and particularly there's continuation of the story, I think, or it says Beneath the Trees for sure, and there's other name I don't remember about, but IW is definitely already announced it, so it says in Pipeworks. So I'm wondering if I'm going to do it in a single format or I'm going to continue in this, because it didn't have hardcover when I was looking for it, but no matter. It's like one of the really trade paperback surprises of the year for me, how I wasn't really giving it like I knew when it came out. I really liked the covers are splendid, and it's very like very fairy tale-y looking to them. This is the covers that came out. They're beautifully, as I say, done out, and I bet it would be beautiful if that kind of hardcover would come out. Definitely, maybe I would want to upgrade it, but highly recommend this. Like everybody was talking about it, and for me, it had to be on what I've read, and I thoroughly enjoyed it in this year.
Yeah, cool. I have one that sort of fits that category that people have been raving about, yourself included, that I finally got a chance to pick up and loved it. And that would be Rachel Rising, and then of course Serial. It's just Terry Moore is a guy that I've heard about for so many years. And it's not that I've never been interested. Every time I hear people talk about him, it's really sounds interesting to me. It's one of those things of there's only so much you can read in the world. So I couldn't resist these first 3 volumes I got for dirt cheap, probably a couple of bucks a piece. I don't remember. And man, it's just as good as everybody says, you know, like it's really, he's got a way with writing that is so natural. And then here's just I'll show some pages from Serial. That's just so natural. The characters are interesting. The story in Rachel Rising is very intriguing. I genuinely don't know where it's going to go. Like, obviously, you know, you always have ideas of things, but it's just, I'm so glad that I finally got around to picking it up. The only slight regret that I have for this is I should just invest in the Rachel Rising, the big brick. Yeah, Jay is saying Rachel Rising is a can't put it down read. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that was the thing, like these 4 books, I went through them pretty damn fast because once I was into it, I didn't want to stop. So I may upgrade in the next short time here to the big tome of Rachel Rising, and just then I can trade these in or something, or pass them on to somebody else.
Yeah, it's glad that you actually finally had the time to just go for it, because a lot of them, I don't know how long ago that Rachel Rising actually came out, when it originally came out, but I missed out on that one from the beginning, but then I started going into putting because I could. I remember why. So I couldn't get hold of the number 1 issue. It was sold out, of course. Sterrymore, he doesn't have that many prints out anyway, especially if it gets really popular. But then he done a second printing, which is, I think originally he came out with a green cover first issue.
Okay.
And then when they reprinted, it was red. And then he done also, to get people again coming to Rachel Rising, he did a Halloween special. So, you know, Halloween special come out, sometimes they have. So that basically entry to the Rachel Rising. So with second printing, and then I tried to get hold of the other ones, and I started like from issue 10 or something ridiculous. But the minute I start reading, is like, what a mistake straight away, like regret of the year. I think it was one of the bigger regrets of the year for me, because it's like, I should have just, why you doubt yourself, just go for it, you just try out something. So from that point onwards, I just picked it up, and then I decided to double invest, and I got a huge omnibus.
Yeah,
kind of big size, but not as monster as that's what I was trying to. Still not big. Yeah. There's nothing bigger than that.
Yeah.
So nobody can beat it. So yeah. So anybody who has not yet dwelled into Terry Moore's universe, let's say this way, if Strangers in Paradise is being talked about as well, and Gore Vidal would be extremely happy to anybody who starts reading Strangers in Paradise. But I read Strangers in Paradise. And honestly, it's the same. You can't stop. You just want to get to know what's happening furthermore. He has that ability of writing something so easily for you to understand and like the character straight away from the get-go. So very lovable characters.
And I think it's interesting because I think it's one of those books too that no matter where you're coming from as far as reading comics, I would say even if you're reading like mainstream kind of comics, or if you're like me reading more independent and things like that, like you can come at this book from both of those directions, I feel like if you're reading DC and you ventured into things like Sandman, this isn't too much of a step further than that. Or if you're reading independent stuff and you love Love and Rockets or things like that, like that have a very distinct voice, it's a pretty easy step into this. It somehow sits so nicely in kind of the middle of both of those worlds and kind of incorporating all that kind of good stuff, right? So yeah, it's impressive, man. I'm really glad that I grabbed it.
Okay. The best of one writer, because it helped, because he had a good artist. It's like Helen Wolf for me.
Yes.
So, I'm not the biggest fan, like well-known fact about Tom King's writing, but honestly, the Bilquis Evely is a winner. A stunning piece of work in this one. Collected edition is probably going to be out in a couple of weeks, probably a week or some, I don't know, this month for sure, I presume. But this is how I put in. Look, I managed to put them all in one bag, which saves me so much space. I'll do you a favor.
I chickened out and went with 2 bags for mine.
Oh,
yeah.
This is why. Is this mystical land of real or not real, or you double guess yourself. It's such a beautiful work of art, and this is what basically saved his like work, like in my brain, because I'm always like
Yeah.
double guessing myself when I finish. And I still did the same thing, unfortunately, with this one. Terrence, you had better feelings when you ended this comic book. For me,
Mhm.
Bill Postlethwaite just, I mean, I knew from the people already saying and how beautiful this work is from this lady, but it's just reassured me triple, double time when I start reading this. And I honestly, I don't regret picking up in the single format because it's just such a beautiful work of art, and I was looking forward to see what else she's going to come up with, because this world is really such an imaginary thing, and you don't really see
Mhm.
that much of the world in this first issue, to be honest. You have to go into deeper in the series, but it has these, which is absolutely stunning creatures and beasts,
Mhm.
which comes them, and she has very good emotions betrayal in the pages. So yeah, so this is Tom King, because it's the first, and actually it's probably the first book I haven't yet completely disliked until the end. I
Mm.
never understand his point. I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
why this exists, to be honest, but I'm happy it did, because it's just an experience I really loved from the beginning to the end. So yeah.
It's obviously on my list as well too. Like there's oh
Ooh,
shit.
your
Oh,
camera, come on, camera.
come on, camera. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay.
Stupid camera.
Did I? Dun, dun, dun,
Wonder
dun,
why
dun,
it's
dun.
doing that. Really.
What happened?
It doesn't want to hear about Tom King. It's like fuck Tom King. Who cares about this guy?
Oh, you
One
gonna pop in
sec.
now?
Let me choose the proper camera.
Oh, why? Oh, that's really weird. That doesn't. Oh, there you go.
Boom.
You're
There we
back.
go. Am I back?
Mm-hmm.
I am back. Hold on. Let me turn on. See, this is without my little light
Oh,
that's
oh, yeah.
blazing.
Okay, I know. I understand how dark it is for you.
Yeah, it's really dark because it's just a corner here, and especially now that these bookshelves have gone more this way than they were previously, it's even more. All I need is like a tarp over top, and I've got my little
No.
cave home. Anyway,
Yeah.
so it made my list as well, and I think it's one of the very very rare times
Yeah.
where yeah we don't necessarily agree on the story. Like when I
And
enter stuff like this, when I come into these kind of worlds and deal with these kind of stories, I expect that the story is going to be shit. I just walk in thinking that the story isn't going to be that good. Now, I have a little bit of extra hopes with Tom King because I really liked his Vision book. I really liked his Human Target book. I haven't read a ton more. Those are the two that I'd read before. So I enjoyed his take on those as well as the art in both of those books. This one I was coming in and the art blew me away. That's when I saw it on the shelf and I flipped through that first issue. It was the art that completely was like, I mean, just that cover alone is a fucking stunner. But then when I looked through and it was exactly like this on the inside, it was a no-brainer. Now, when I got to the end of the story, I really liked it. I found that as the story was going along, I was actually getting more interested in what he was talking about and the characters and things. Because I thought that I would just kind of read the pages and it would just be whatever, but I would get to kind of go through this beautiful art. But I actually started getting invested in the story. I started getting invested in the characters. There was a couple moments in there that were legitimately touching for me. You know what
oh
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Like, it was. I loved it. I thought it was a great, great book. But honestly, like you said, the art is just on another level. It is so fucking gorgeous. This is one that I will absolutely double dip on when it comes out in some form of collected edition. I will get it again. I just know that I will. I won't be able to resist. So, yeah, that was a really nice surprise of the year for sure.
I think I've seen her advertising collected edition already on her
No, you did.
socials, but I'm not sure. You know, like you can't see really the how big the size is until you actually
Yeah.
see it. So I'm not sure how big it is, but
Mhm.
hopefully it will be. Human
Hopefully, it's a
Target.
little bit bigger.
Human Target was a bit bigger, wasn't it? Not a typical trade paper, like a hardcover size, was it?
I'm not sure. I think it might have been, but I honestly don't really know. I know that I've seen it. I can't
Yeah.
remember the size of it though, the sizing of it.
Yeah. So Human
Human
Target,
Target was a good read too. It was a solid read.
Yeah, because of Greg Smallwood artwork, I would go for it.
The art was unreal.
Yeah, because he's now clever enough to pick up. I mean, he always had really good artists next to him doing the work. He's managing to pick up like superstar artists to work for him to
Hmm.
do the series. And we also got surprised by, because this is a series which only lasted 6 issues, but Tom
Yeah.
King is well known for having 12-issue series runs. It seems to be that's a sweet spot for him. But this is like
Yeah.
cut in six. And sometimes when I was reading, Mr. Miracle. I think it was it 6 or 12. I'm not. I think it was 12 issues, because it was like such a psychological thing going on with Mr.
Mm.
Miracle and Big Brother that right at the end I was like, I remember I think watching Damien Sleep Reader 666 video, and I actually same feeling like what is going on here?
Yeah,
Like
right.
I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's like, even though it also had really good artists, I think it was Gerard. I forgot his name, but he was
Uh-huh.
on art in that one. But yeah, it's that's where I'm having problems. Vision is the only one from the beginning till the end. That's how I was introduced to Tom King. So I was like, oh my god, good writer from the get go. So the Vision was spectacular, really dark, emotional. Once again, he's kind of same
Yeah.
like what he likes to portray. So really liked from the beginning to the end. The end clicked for me, like I was like stunned by it. So
Yeah.
yeah, but then from at that point onwards, I could not find the same similar feeling
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Tom
yeah.
King's work. So
Yeah.
not trying to, but like this is
No,
the
it just
feeling
yeah,
I
some
get
writers don't
from
work
the
for you. That's just the way that it
exactly.
goes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Surprise Universe, where even the movie is what I really liked, because of the loss of popularity of the artist slash writer. Now he's becoming famous writer. This series,
Mm.
12 issues, it's ongoing series, but I read the first 12 issues, and this series where I was so surprised that I was caring about Transformers as much as, because I never grew up with that Transformers. I wasn't into that kind of thing, but I was curious enough to see what Daniel Warren Johnson wanted to do with this universe, and from the beginning till the issue 12, which I was picking up, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Then I went to see a movie cartoon, not went to see the movie, but we watched the movie at home of Transformers called Transformers 1, and I enjoyed it because it's
Mhm.
even more explanations of this universe. So I don't know, maybe it's a little bit open of the world, because I only remember Transformers of these big bombastic movies, action scenes, nothing really kind of like heavy in storytelling. But these tellings of Warren Johnson in comic format and Image comic books and Skybound in generally has opened my mind to something like this, Transformers run. So really cool. So this is the surprise that I actually wanted to read something like that. So in this year,
Cool.
but I'm glad I picked it up and I read it.
Sort of keeping with the stuff that came out this year, I think one of my maybe last ones of things that came out this year, Rare Flavors, so Ram V and Philippe Andrade. I really loved their Layla Starr, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. It made my list last year. This one easily makes my list this year. Such a great story. I don't love all the Ram V that I've read. This is a different artist doing the cover, but I couldn't resist because I love that cover. I don't love everything that I've read from Ram V, but I do think that this duo is an exceptional duo. There's something that they do together that I think really works. And I just like the sort of offbeat stories that come from it. Like this one is a demon. Oh, sorry, that's a sampler. Let me get the actual number one there. That's a tasting menu. So here's the actual number one. So this is Boom Studios. It's a demon that devours people basically, but he's turned into this foodie, and it's kind of a look at kind of the East Indian gods and things. And then just kind of the cuisine, the culture of food. There's recipes within each of the comics. It's a really, really good story. Our other main character here is a filmmaker, and he's been hired to kind of do a documentary on our demon character here, our main character, who it doesn't present himself in that light right out of the hop. It kind of becomes apparent to our main character there. So just a really good, solid read. It was one of those ones where when it was a week where that one was coming out, it was probably my first read of the week. You know, it kind of made it immediately. And I think that was due to how much I loved Layla Starr. It was just such a fun read that it was nice to get something else from those creators.
Layla Starr, yeah. Okay. I remember you showing off. I'm just thinking about the cover, or if I recall what like what it looked like when you would. Because I remember I read it, but I think I read it and I picked up from library, and of course I don't have any copy because it's library pick. A lot of things which I've read this year. Well, not lots of it, most of the stuff. Like so, one of the Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker's work for this year or last year, 2024. Which I really liked from beginning till the end, and I only have my writing to show it off, to do like very quickly, is Night Fever. Because since they started doing those series, that in that format with the hardcovers coming out quite often. I don't know how many they were churning out before they announced the a criminal series coming from Prime, and kind of they slowed down on their work. But this is the one of the year which I actually read in the beginning of the year, January the 1st, actually. So Night Fever is one of the best reads I've done of that year.
And honestly, you saying it, I don't know why that didn't make my list, because I agree with you. I also read it from the library. I don't remember where I read it. I'll find it at some point but I really liked it as well too. It was it was a nice kind of return to form for him, kind of brought me back into his world, right?
Yeah. And then Jay sharing my two favorites of 2024, all by Liam Sharp and Endless by Kurt Pius. All had writing that propelled the narrative forward in an interesting mix. With the art looks totally independent without traditional grit. Interesting.
Yeah, Liam Sharpie Sharp is pretty good. Was that something that he did Kickstarter? Because I don't recognize that title.
Yeah. And Endless had an interesting story, an issue layout, cliffhangers at the end of each one, something of their incarnation story. Nice. Need to put that on a somewhere list so I remember.
Yeah.
So I like that kind of. Liam Sharp must have that work that I don't even, because I know he has done that Green Lantern, which I picked it up because he done Green Lantern and I am a Green Lantern fan, so I wanted to have that. And then he done something else, which I don't recall the name of, and that was his old work completely. I'm just picking up a piece of paper so I can write down.
He did it independent through Image, is what he's saying for the
interesting
previous for the Or. That's cool.
Okay, so I'm looking for that. Maybe my library would have Sharp and
Stonehenge story. Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
I wonder if I saw stills of it and the name just didn't stick with me, because I think I follow him still on Twitter, and because I know I've seen him here and there, But yeah, cool.
Pious. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jay. Cool. Keep an eye. Yeah. So right. What's on my thinking? This is the right one. Okay. So this is the art, the writer, which I.
Oh, Starhenge, you're saying, not Stonehenge, Starhenge. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Doesn't matter. Still interesting.
Yeah. Well, totally different story, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking Stonehenge, and yeah.
So this is the writer I always want to have on my poll because I like his body of work. So recommend Sacrifices. This is one of these titles which I'm picking up so far. Seasons is coming out. I don't know if it's out already. Not sure. I have not seen it yet, but it's another thing. But Recommender is the writer who I always want to have on my poll list. I picked up Deadly Class, went from the beginning till the end. Loved the series. If you guys have not read it, I recommend it. Then that's how I was introduced really to Wes Craig properly. So that's his work of there. which really stood out for me, and him always also having really good. And they took what is the story they did together, Rick Remender and Andre Lima Orojo? What is it?
Righteous Thirst for Vengeance.
Yes. And so he is inviting him to help, I presume, Max Fiorama to deal with this ongoing series, which is not easy to, churn out a month-to-month basis. So we have him here as well. So yeah, really good. One of the writers usually are on my list.
Yeah. Doesn't quite fit in with what you were talking about, but it kind of almost ends my what I would consider more mainstream companies. Cromwell Stone, a one shot from an artist named Andreas. It was collected in an edition later, but I didn't know about it. I know Andreas from some stories that he's done in Cheval Noir, and this was a really, really great book. Again, like, unfortunately, it's comic size and it is a bit too small because you can see how dense some of the pages are there with the skinny panels and stuff. But the artistry is unreal, and it's something, again, like going through this list at the end of the year, it's a good reminder. I meant to kind of look up, see if I could find the collected edition of this. So I think that'll be on my list for this year of trying to hunt that down. Not much more to say to it than that. It was just a really nice find, with Dark Horse being a company that's always interested me, and they've been around for quite a long time now. They had so many nooks and crannies where there was a one shot here. I mean, look at I don't know if that's showing up super well, but just the clouds in that is gorgeous, man. It's really exceptional art. So they have all these nooks and crannies of things that only came out with a single issue, or maybe it was a 2-issue series or whatever. It's nice to kind of hunt those nooks and crannies out and dig them out. So really great book. I don't know how easy it is to find. But it's one worth keeping your eye out for if you do see it in the bins.
Okay. And the safest book on my pull list is that, can you have that? Like,
I mean, I think I know what you're gonna say, and I'm gonna get mine ready just in case I'm right, but I don't know what you're gonna say 100%.
So this is the safest book to have in the pull list because it's always never disappoints.
Oh yes, okay, yeah, Usagi, of course, yes. I was wrong.
Yeah, well, there you go. You see, I surprised you,
but it makes sense. Yes.
So Usagi Yojimbo is. I started what I don't know if when the color prints started. Was it last year when they started?
Honestly,
doing that?
I don't know. It might have been last year. Yeah.
Maybe the year before had that, but then since then they started doing that in the IDW. I decided to, you know what, I'm gonna go and just delve into this universe, even though I have not read previous work. But this is the safest bet every single time. This book always stays at the end of my pull, like when I start reading it, the books I have for the month. And if I can be disappointed for that month, this never will be. It just the way he's telling the story stories. And now he's going to Dark Horse, come back to where he printed before. It's still amazing work. Like, I can show some work. It's still a really good work of like what he's trying to do. Some of it reprinted. I presume somebody told me. I think you maybe, because you've been reading more of the history prior to this. So, but I honestly really like in color, even though I know originally started in black and white. But I guess because I started it in color, I kind of continuously want to have more in color. But it's always have been a safe bet, and it's like I've never. Maybe there was sometimes the story didn't really click. I remember one of the series we were reading together, like the story bunch of 4 issues or something. Yep. We didn't really get we didn't understand. They didn't need it to, but it was once
it was just
out of
okay.
Yeah, but it's always, as I say, it's just such a nice universe. He has this rabbit and you continuously just want to know what's happening next, and he has these little moments where it's like a kind of like a moments of teachings, like in a way, or like just telling you what would happen if you do this in this way. And I really like that moment, because sometimes the comic books completely just ignores that part of storytelling as well. So it
Mhm.
feels like you can talk to your kids with this comic book. You'll be safe on it, even though the deaths and all that stuff, that little things, what he does with this bubble of skull where
Mhm.
the characters are murdered. It's just so. I mean, how can you say endearing when it comes to murder? But it just looks so nice.
Yeah,
In
so
way, it's
cartoony. Yeah.
yeah, so cartoony and stylistically done. So
I mean, that book is so obviously on my list. I didn't even write it down, and I didn't pull any of the books because
yeah,
obviously it's
yeah,
gonna be there, right? Like it is just so good. And the only thing I would add to what you said is
yeah,
I have been reading these with my daughter, and it's
yeah.
so fucking fun. It is so, and for me, I enjoy the well, a couple of
Color.
thoughts. Let's finish one thought first.
Yeah.
So the idea is like reading it with my daughter has been so rewarding because you're 100% right. There are these nice little messages, and there's a real stream of kind of positivity and trying to do the right thing in
Yes.
there that's always inherent with the stories. And
Yeah.
then you get these kind of offshoots. It's so good. And then the second part of that thought was I do really enjoy the color, but for me, I always prefer black and white a little more. But I still really love the color ones. There's no doubt about it, because at the end of the day, it ultimately doesn't matter too much because the stories are just so fucking entertaining. They're entertaining in black and white. They're entertaining in color because it's just good writing, period. Right? So yeah.
You know what, Usagi Yojimbo, it makes me think if Bone would continue in a single continue
Mhm.
its series. You know, the Bone from Jeff. What is his surname? Jeff what?
Smith, isn't it Smith? Jeff Smith.
Something like, yeah. So
Yeah.
he is created. It's just you could do. You can have that kind of similar world going in, and them discovering, like new adventures with those all like brothers and that princess. It just would work so well. So it
Mhm.
always kind of would be what if kind of book. If Bone would have a continued series, you would think that kind like thing I would like to have on my pull list. Let's say this way, because I just really enjoy
Mhm.
reading Bone. Right. Okay. I'm gonna put this because I do read it in digital, because unfortunately I do not have in a printed format. I'm not as lucky
Mhm.
as Europeans are, but the one I've always been raving about and I've been wanting people to read is these. Okay. Okay. Should I make? Are you so? Technology. I was trying to put this on the big screen
Yeah,
on the
it wasn't
tablet, and
working.
it didn't work. But I'm talking about The Undertaker.
Mhm.
Not your WWE, whatever, wrestling Undertaker, but Undertaker. Creation by Ralph Mayer, Caroline Delaby, and Javier Dorison. So this is a spectacular series. French based artist doing absolutely spectacular Western with a spectacular looking art. And it's tome number 7. Number 7, and it's just absolutely gorgeous story. It follows our Undertaker, who has passed, of course, like we all do, and then you have his adventures going forward, dealing with love and lust, and this one is he is regretting for not going after the lady he kind of like had in one of the adventures, and she is like kind of denying him the things because there's other stories going on. But such a beautiful series, and it's like number one comic. If I could have had it in the printed format, for me would be year-to-year basis, because it's just so solid. And I'm such a maybe a fan of Western style of comic books, but it's just art wise, the panel grids, because of I am such a huge fan of Blueberry. This is just
Mhm.
works for me so well, and it just wants me to have it printed. But like if I wanted to have it printed, it has to be French, I think. Last time I looked it up. But like now with in UK Brexit doesn't help very easy for you to get hold of something
Yeah,
from
right.
as well. So at least I have this, like English translated digital format. just really not happy about that it is digital format. Because even though I'm enjoying reading in this, I would like really to have it on the, just flip the pages. Like that's such
Yeah,
an
yeah.
enjoyable thing to do. But there's one of the regrets of not having, like, or not able to read something like French language or Portuguese. I think Portuguese would have that printed in there.
Mm-hmm.
I presume. So yeah, number one. Honestly, I would put that in always at the top. One of the
Right.
number five, top five. Of the year reads every single time. Never disappoints.
I got a few that I'll kind of talk about quickly because they all sort of fall in the same category.
Mm-hmm.
So this year we had some comics come out from older creators,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the ones I'll start with is my man Mr. Guy Caldwell
Oh
had a
yes,
book, Delights, a story of Hieronymus Bosch, come out this year that
Mm-hmm.
is so goddamn good. It's really good to see Caldwell still doing art, still doing comics. It's
Mm-hmm.
great to see a new story by him, and it's great to see how his style has, like, it's still very distinctly him, but
Mm-hmm.
there's an extra level on top of this. It's also just a really great story. So this is a strong recommendation. With that same thing in mind, one of the other guys that we saw come back this year was my friend Mr. Pete Bagg with his Hate Revisited, 4 issues. It had a really rough start with issue number 1, but thankfully that quickly rectified itself, and this was a great read by the end of it. It was one of those, again, like, the only disappointing thing about this is that it was only 4 issues, because I would have gladly read another 20 issues. If he wanted to continue this, I would be on board, because it felt like, as enjoyable as this was, he really found his groove by issue number 4, and now I want more. So it was great to see him come back. And then one thing that finally was published was Mr. Joe Matt, his final peep show after his passing. So this final issue came out that he had been working on for a long time. Chester Brown helped finish this off to get it ready for publication. Oh, wow. And it is hilarious. It's a really great kind of send off of Joe Matt, because this is something that he'd been working on for so long. This wasn't a comic of someone who hadn't done comics in like 10 years or 20 years and came back and tried to do something to recapture something. This is still very much from that era of Joe Matt. This is so it was really great to see, and you can see his Seth up there, which is always great when Seth appears in the comics, because Seth is just really mean to him, honestly. So that was so good to kind of get a hand on. And then finally, for somebody else that passed away this year, whose comics I had only been introduced to recently, Bernie Moreau with his Jam series. I was fortunate enough to find all the missing issues that I needed, so I was able to read this entire Jam, and it really is such a good read. The covers might not cue you into how goddamn good this series is, because it starts off as a guy who's sort of a superhero, but it quickly changes into the devil has it out for him, because he's the one happy guy on the planet, and the devil wants to make him absolutely miserable. So he sends his minions to kind of poison his life. There's these relationships that he has with family members and stuff that play a big part. So it's really funny, and it's just so goddamn entertaining that I'm really glad that I was able to stumble onto these. And it's a real shame that we lost him this year as well too. I was trying my damnedest to get in touch with him to do an interview with him for Canon. When I found out the news, like, I think a couple of days after I'd started trying to reach out to him, I found out that he passed away. So it's a bummer, but really great comics. So I think all those kind of lump together anyway.
Cool. So I have one more. I guess yours should be in the same boat, I presume. But the winner, really, stylistically, they were representing the way it did represent itself, and just mesmerizing your eyes every single time you had that luck to have it on your pull and not finishing. So Precious Metal. It is,
Mhm.
I think it is the winner of the year. I think it's the most surprising look to each page. Also,
Mhm.
to see how our Ian Bertram has evolved as an artist, and
Yeah.
how willing and how imaginative his mind is now in a piece of paper.
Mhm.
And it's just the story maybe helps him to do that kind of thing. But I absolutely loved every bit of it, and
Mhm.
because of it's for the way it formatted like this, the way they went as a publication, it's just such a beautiful work to have experience in monthly basis. So this is just, like, why wouldn't you enjoy this kind of stuff? It's just right up my alley. And of course,
Mhm.
thanks to you, Terence, once again, managing to get me into this and say, go on, continue and have a
Mhm.
look
Mhm.
at what you're missing out. And I was absolutely stunned and mesmerized by it. And then continued with my having that on my pull list. It's just absolutely winner of the 2024 for sure. It needs to
Cool.
be read by all if you could. I think collected edition will come out sooner or later this year, presumably. But I wonder what kind of format they will go for. But I really like the way it is because like there's so many pages. I think it really helped that the way he chose the panel work. So Gutter Loss, it won't be an issue in collected editions. I mean,
Mhm.
it will be some sort of trade paperbacks. I'm really notoriously bad about that. And if you're gonna break the spine, like from frustration, and some pages can escape, which I found out sometimes in the smaller format books. Because I'm not a fan of trade paperbacks in generally, but this is the book. Even though in some ways I would think the story, proper grasp of the story, I have not gotten it,
Yeah.
because maybe it needs to, like, that Little Bird needs to be read again and see maybe we can, something was missing because Little Bird was read really long time ago, because it took them, what, 5 years maybe to get to this
Something like
point.
that easily. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see this kind of things, and I'm really looking forward to see what this year will come. But hopefully, somebody will be brave enough and produce some work like these. That then we will be.
Mhm.
How lucky would we be to be having something similar to this? But yeah, this is the winner of the
Yep.
year for me, for sure.
Well, and I've also seen on his Instagram he's doing new pages already, so they do have more stories coming. When that'll be, we'll see. But yeah, it's good to
Yeah,
know they're working on something.
and the Little Bird, the book I'm talking about, it came out. I think it
It's
did came
great.
out. I don't. It doesn't even say how long ago. No, it
No, I
doesn't
should have
mention.
pulled them. I saw them today when I was looking for stuff in the drawers. I should have pulled them.
So yeah, this is the most memorable for sure, don't you think?
Mm.
Out of the
I don't
year.
know if like it's a very strong. I don't know if it's my top. If I was forced, gun to my head, pick a top, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be the top one. I'll show you the top one for me in a minute, but
Oh
it's
wow.
right up there
Okay.
though. It's still really like it's a phenomenal book. And I
Uh-huh.
think that the biggest thing is seeing Ian Bertram's art style just
Yeah.
explode to another level. Because I
Yeah.
reread House of Penance that we were talking about in one of the streams,
Yeah.
and just doing that comparison to House of Penance is a great book. It was one of my favorite reads of that year, probably again right near the top.
Yeah.
But seeing how much his art has developed and grown in the space of those two books,
Yeah.
he really is entering an era where it's almost a different artist. He's just leveled up
Yeah.
an unbelievable amount. It's the imagery in Precious Metals is just mind-boggling. It's really mind-bogglingly good. So
Yeah.
but if I was forced, gun to my head, to pick a favorite read of the year, and I know that this might make a few lists of people this year, but I think it was Sunday
Oh.
by Olivier Schrouen from Fantagraphics, a collection of all the books he did himself through, was it Colorama, I think? They were all risographed comics, so Fantagraphics did a great job of collecting these. This was a really, really engaging and interesting read in so many different ways. And I think that's kind of what puts it over the top for me, is that
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those books where there's so many different things you can follow throughout it. If you want to follow visually, it's a stunner visually, especially when you get pages like this, one of my favorites that I showed in the previous stream when we first talked about this book. Where the hell is it? So if you want to follow it just through style and art, you can read it through that way and still really enjoy it, because you get panels like this, someone looking in a mirror that's all fogged up after a shower and then drawing a face on it. That is gorgeous in its kind of simplicity and utilizing the kind of print techniques and technology that's out there, having that the risograph originally would be a little blown out, you know, so there is this texture inherent with the way you printed it that works. If you want to read just the story itself is pretty engaging and pretty damn funny. And then kind of the other way you could read it is just looking through on how he's dealing with comic storytelling and how we're told stories as comics readers. And you start picking up on some of those things, matching words with different imagery, playing with that sort of thing. So it's so rewarding in multiple ways that I think that's kind of what puts it over the top for me as far as the favorite thing for the year.
Oh, lovely.
But again, that's only if I'm forced to, because honestly, all of these sit really closely for me, because I really enjoyed everything we've talked about. So
I enjoyed also, I'm not gonna show but I enjoyed lots of facsimile reprints, which is another way of enjoying your mainly superhero first appearances without needing to put so much chunk of money towards it. So I really enjoyed that for the past year, because I think I picked up the most out of, I mean, I remember used to picking them up from previous reprinted times when they were doing it. It's like in the back issue runs, but this time they were like doing it properly, and I really enjoyed a lot of stuff which I had no chance of reading, like, you know, Guy Gardner's first Green Lantern appearance. Then we have John Stewart's first appearance was reprinted, which I thoroughly enjoyed, because Green Lanterns are one of my favorite superhero runs from DC, for example, universe. Then also, of course, Marvel had lots of like X-Men, the original X-Men. And then before I picked it up, the facsimile edition, which I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So in that sense, that was really good. But so far, like, the whole year has been nothing like overly disappointing, because maybe we don't really go for big two books. I remember previous years I used to kind of get most of the time kind of let down by the ongoing like big events, by big two, and I felt like it just becomes a little bit overburdened and too much, because you always knew that you missed out a storyline, because there used to be on like many titles, and you're like, I'm not gonna go out of it and just spend hundreds of pounds really to just finish the storyline in a single comic book format. So yeah, I'm you know, like, I'm just happy this year being as surprising and as entertaining, you know, and discovering not only having the pull list but also my own collection.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, your own pull list. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah. And for you, you think you enjoyed this year of reading comics?
I did. Yeah, no, for sure I did. There's no doubt. Like, I've still got another small stack of stuff because it's more independent things. Like, there was just, it's always enjoyable. I mean, at the end of the day, even if it's a year where things were just okay, it's still a good year, because it's a fun hobby. I enjoy reading goddamn comics. Like, let's be honest, you know, we wouldn't be doing this and talking about this stuff if we hated it, because there sure as fuck isn't any sort of monetary reward in it for us, right? So I just really like it. And again, I'm so glad that I've started writing things down, because that's another part that's incredible as well, revisiting and remembering the books. And there's a few in there that are very much, I didn't like them based on what I wrote about them. So reading those again was also good, of like, okay, because it just further instills in me what area of books to stay away from. You know, like we talked about, like, I don't read very many DC Marvel. I look at them on the shelves and stuff, and you know, some things catch my eye, but there's an incredible amount of comics out there, and there's so many much more rewarding reads that I'd much rather spend the time to dig into those than just buy comics just cause, you know what I mean? Like, I also want it to be engaging stories, whether it's just art or both. So,
Yeah.
hello, Damien Sleepy Reader.
Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
What? Somebody like a pirate speaks.
I did want to just quickly talk about some of the indie
Oh
stuff,
yes,
though.
yes. No, you have to, of course.
One of the things I wanted to show, because I realized I haven't shown you yet, like on video. I sent you photos of it.
Yeah.
But my son this year made prints for us for Christmas. And these are the prints. So
cool.
he did these characters, sort of like an elf character here. And then he did there was a risograph color pack that he could use for whatever it is that he's using. Procreate, is that what he's using? I can't remember what it is that he's using anymore. He's told me numerous times and it doesn't stick in my head.
On the tablet?
So that's the first one. So he used this risograph color pack for his digital app, and then had a local print shop print them up for him. So it's on this kind of nice cardstock, sort of, I think maybe like postcard cardstock. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
There's like a Krampus there. And then the Santa there. So, because I've said to him in the past, I've told the kids a long time ago, don't waste your money on cards for me. If you want to make something for me, make something for me. Make a card for me. So one year for Father's Day, he made me a Father's Day card, and I loved it, and I raved about it. So I think that's what kind of put it into his head that I'll do some prints for them. Yeah, thank you, Damien. We're really impressed. Like he's a hell of an artist, and it's great to get some original art from your kids, right? So, but as far as like the indies go, how do you want to do this? Because you have some things to talk about too, right?
No,
some books that you've read.
Oh, I'm done. I mean, as I say, okay. I have showed whatever I wanted to show, because as I say, I was like because many of my indie books, which is library based, I don't have to show. So I was thinking like there's no really a point to mention. I mentioned a couple of the stuff, but then I really don't want it to go further, because if it's not something stayed in my brain, I guess I presume it just didn't, right. I usually put that in here if it's really stood out. That's why this is really cool for me. So when I looked it up, there was a lot of it which I was reading, and some of it was like Paul Pope's Battling Boy, because we lost them. So that one of the things I was reading, and then I don't remember some other. There was another book, even like the I don't remember. But some other ones, as I say, I did not see. Oh yeah, Briar, one of the elf storylines, which were done by Christopher Cantwell and German Garcia. So there's some stuff, because that's the thing. I don't really have the books because I picked them in most of them is in the library now. But in here it's a memory. So. Which is absolutely great. Otherwise, I would even forget about what I was reading next, kind of part. So you can go.
So then I'll just do a quick fire kind of thing on these, because
just go for it. Don't worry about how long will it take. Just go for it.
So Clamp, probably one of the best independent anthologies. This came out in 2023, but I only read it last year. I only got my hands on it. So it's like people like Floyd Tangeman. Let me get the Juliette Collette. What are some other names that I recognized in here? Jasper Krentz, rather, Nate Garcia, Molly Dwyer, Dan Welch is the guy that really stood out for me. So one of the things that happens, it's on newsprint. It's unbelievable. One of the things that stands out for me is that it's really just plain fun. There's so many different styles. There's legitimately funny strips in here. This Dan Welch does probably one of my favorite comic strips of the year. If I, again, gun to my head, this Pencil-Necked Geek strip is so goddamn funny. And it reminds me of like 90s underground or alternative comics. Sometimes with these self-published guys, it can get a little too arty in concept. And then there's really no other reward other than that. This one does a really good job of showcasing some of those similar artists. doing very unique art styles, but a different side of them. And I loved this anthology. It was a very, very strong one from the year. A guy that I'm not a huge fan of, Pataluzio, the stuff that I've read, a little bit of stuff, mind you. This Cole County Outbreak was in my comic shop for, I think, like $2 or something. So I gave it a shot. Strangers Publishing put it out, and it is really, really great as well. It's a story about a prison break. These three women break out of prison, and it quickly turns into a horror story. Apparently, I think it's loosely based on a real escape. I'm not so sure. But it's so great. His use of the black on the page, his use of the panel layouts, and those horror elements are a lot of fun. It's just a thin little book, but it's really solid. And then also from oh no, this is Fantagraphics. So Banu Pratap, his previous book was Strangers as well, Mother and Other Stories, but this is his first one for Fantagraphics, Cutting Season. And again, it's an absolute doozy. His art style is incredible. It's so great seeing these. I don't know. They're comics and stories that live in a completely different world, and it's so engaging because some of the abstraction to the human form that's happening in here goes way beyond even cartooning into kind of a different world, like a more like abstract painting world. But some of the ways he contorts the human body are unreal. So it's almost like creating his own kind of language through comics. And super rewarding. Even if I don't always understand what's going on, I still really love it. And there's moments of some humor in here as well, to some absurdity and things. So really great read. He's a fantastic artist. I can't wait to see more from him. Sort of in that same, actually, let's do this one first. Jasper Krentz was also in that Clamp anthology there, and discovering his comics this year were amazing. I love Jasper Krentz. I desperately want a lot more work from him this year. I love his style, is very raw, and his storytelling is very entertaining, sort of autobiographical-ish, but then kind of taking that and jumping further from it. So much fun. I love that he uses, he'll even use some kind of collaging some photos and things, but his style of art has a real nice kind of 80s feel for me, like 80s independent, someone who's not maybe necessarily trained as an artist, but just has this need to draw, which always appeals to me. So these were really great. There's only 2 issues of Magnet Head, but if you can find any one of them, they're worth it. A local artist, Silent T, I've really enjoyed their comics. I'm set to try to, I still haven't done it yet, but I have to get an interview together with Silent T. Hopefully, fingers crossed that it works itself out so it can come out in a future issue of Canon. But another individual, I don't know if Silent T is a man or a woman. I have no idea. They just go by Silent T even on their social media. So really cool style. Almost reminds me of Bill Sienkiewicz at times, with the kind of use of different mediums within the page. Just the kind of fun of everything. There's this whole universe around this kind of Silent T character and sort of, I don't know, gang or group or something. So really unique comics, and it's a bonus that it's from a local artist. I tend to have kind of stereotypes of local artists that are clearly incorrect when you're hit with something like this, right? So it's cool to find something that's by someone in town. Dynamite Diva, I read both of these this year. This is the collected edition. This is Strangers published this one. So this collects everything up to that point of Dynamite Diva. And then this year, Jasper Jubenville put this one out. So Jasper is a Canadian, a young guy who's a big fan of Dick Tracy and the like. May just be my own growing awareness, but does it feel like there's been a recent resurgence? For sure there has. I mean, with the rise of places like Domino Comics, for sure, there's more people talking about them because it's more accessible to people, right? You don't have to go to 10 different independent sources. You can go to somebody who's kind of curating a list that you can purchase from, right? So I think that really helps in that distribution. This was an absolute blast. This first book, like from front to back, it's so much fun. It's really solid cartooning, beautiful cartooning with this very exploitation movie kind of theme throughout it. Strong female character who's always smoking and beating the shit out of people. It's just a blast of a book. So again, very recommended. And second to last, got to give shout out to Ryan for Color Apocalypse for putting out his first independent comic, or starting his independent publishing. He put out The Hammer by Daria Foruhar, I believe. And it's a great start. The comic itself was good. I don't know if it blew me away. The comic itself didn't necessarily make my list, even though it was dealing with some pretty great topics. Again, kind of autobiographical. But I wanted to showcase this one because I'm so glad that Ryan has stepped into the world of kind of helping publish some of these artists, because his knowledge of this indie scene is pretty exceptional, and he's turned me on to so much over the years. So it's really great to see him put his time into that. And finally, the artist Ian Laurie is somebody that I discovered this year. I had this free comic book day, Halloween comic fest called Quilt. It was a one shot that Ian Laurie did art in. When I looked into him, I saw that he did, and then Emily Was Gone. I don't have the whole series yet, but his art is really great, very much in my wheelhouse. So that's the back cover of one. But so really solid read, solid artist, and he kind of pops up. Now that I know his name, he's popped up in a few areas that have been a bit surprising. So and then finally there is one last one from Fantagraphics. It's an older release that I got in a discount. So Ray enjoyed the story of a man and his dead friend. Absurd, ridiculous, over the top, very, very funny, very, very funny. His style was really great, very scratchy, rough around the edges, but over the top humor, really great lettering, dense pages, but so goddamn funny. So this was one of my favorite reads of the year too. That is it. That is all.
Well, you had a good run, but for you read way more independent stuff than I do, because you have lots of local actors discoveries. You have that kind of stuff, which I am like. Sometimes I remember clearly 2023 was huge for independence for me reading. That's when my library was having so much for me to grasp and read, and I almost remember saying to you, I don't have nothing, library doesn't have anything for me, because it seems to be I read most of the independent stuff from the shelves and there's nothing there, because I keep remembering what I've read before. And this year was because I think they kind of like, they don't have that anymore in especially the library I was going into. So my independent reading has slowed down significantly, because I was just like, you know what, if I can't do that, then I have, like I said, my own stuff to read, which I have to do that, because why the hell am I picking stuff up and I not reading them again? So that's why my independence reading is kind of like not really that much whatsoever, because I would have recalled, or I would have mentioned, like put that in the book for me to clearly remember it, because I remember. And
I think for me it's easier. I can order from a place like Domino. Yes, it's a bit expensive for me, and I think like if you lived in London, or if it was easier to get into London for you, I think this world you'd be much more versed in it, because you have some fantastic comic shops in London.
Yeah,
that
yeah, that's
carry a
the
lot of this stuff, but it's not easy for you to get in there to visit those shops.
it's not something where I want to go anymore, to be honest. London
Yeah.
is I used to live there. I've done that old stuff. I don't want any more hustle and bustle. And I
Yeah.
don't, maybe I visit London twice a year now,
Hmm.
if that, to be honest. I remember once I definitely went to London. That's
Yeah.
2024. So it's not a place, but London itself have in the center of London has two shops where they have a vast amount of independent stuff, and they
Hmm.
just is a well-known fact. I don't know. I hope. I presume they still have to be there because it's a very popular comic book shops in generally. So yeah,
Hmm.
they the places where I would go discover European stuff, way more printed ones in
Yes.
format, and also like you say, the newer like something like Domino books would be there. I always go on the website just to check to see, and they
Hmm.
always have something fresh and new and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So they always have that on the shelves. But like if I don't have it, sometimes you just don't want to bother, kind of thing. Like you have
Hmm.
your own stuff you're picking up, like whatever I do, and it's enough sometimes. You don't have to
Hmm.
completely go and do that. But yeah, it seems to be
Totally.
sometimes some years it's real good because there's lots of going on there, and I want to read more. But I just sometimes I am okay to be content and read whatever I have and what I decide to
Hmm.
pick up on my pull lists. It's actually quite good sometimes, money wise.
Yeah, no, for sure it is. I just think like if you had a regular comic shop that you could visit, I think
Oof,
that would
I
dramatically
would be
change what you were
crying.
reading in the year. Yeah, absolutely, because
I
you'd
would
be exposed to, especially
food
like
for
Forbidden. Is it
comics.
called Forbidden Planet? I think is one of the comic shops in London, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, that big
Yeah, so I mean,
Forbidden
they
Planet
like a
is there.
place like that, from what I understand, would have like a lot of this self-published thing. So I think like if you had exposure to that stuff, I think like you're an adventurous reader that would pick some of that stuff up too.
Hmm.
Like
Oh yeah,
obviously
yeah.
depending on the price and things,
No,
but
honestly, every single time I manage to go to comic book shop, I usually tend to go in that side of the shop first,
Mhm.
and then go to what I know already. It's not nothing surprising anymore. But yeah, I don't have comic book shop around. In a way, it's a saving grace in some ways, to be
Right.
honest, because you can't resist. I go to those kind of shops, and at least you come out with something. You know? And then there's some shops there. There's one of the shops in I think Leicester Square where in Soho. So one in Leicester Square and one in
Mm,
Soho. So one in Soho, the Independence is at the top levels, right in your
right.
like the minute you enter, and there's this shelves of that independent stuff, and of course your mainstream stuff mixed together. And down at the bottom in the basement, you have your pullers comic book shops, like comics, like single, all collected
Okay.
at the top. That's where you see the first thing, and then if you want to comic books, you have to go to kind of like a lower level to see
Hmm.
those single format comic books.
To
So
the basement as it should be.
yeah, I
Filthy,
think
dirty comics. Keep them in the basement.
yeah, and those boxes, which is like, do I put my hands in there or not?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no.
right. Yeah.
So yeah, but as I say, it's kind of now. We're actually planning to go to London already. There's a plan. There's some family visiting, so we might be
Sweet.
getting into London. So hopefully, I'll be there once in the blue moon, a comic book trip where I can actually. It's like you talk, and then it's just gonna go in the comic
Yeah,
book
yeah,
shop
yeah, yeah.
before we leave, so I don't miss
Yeah,
out. So probably it's
yeah.
gonna be that kind of conversation, which is not always
That'd be awesome.
yeah, so hopefully I'll make sure I record on that point because we already
Yeah,
talked about
cool.
it. So yeah,
One thing I forgot to mention for like
go
the
on,
discoveries of the year.
go on.
So I was buying from this collection in town that was being sold, and one
Mm-hmm.
of the most amazing discoveries for me was an adult comics line called Cha Cha Comics. So this is an
What's
artist called
Chachaco?
Magnus doing the 110 Pills, which is an old Chinese erotic story.
Ooh,
All of these were so good, and I don't think, and I think I'm surprised by that because I didn't expect them to be. I
uh,
figured they'd just be ridiculous, like almost
uh-huh.
kind of Playboy-ish level kind of
Ah,
humor comics. They were so much more. This was probably
I
the
never
only
heard of
one
it.
that wasn't as exciting for me. This Pearls of Love. It was
Yeah.
the one that fell the flattest, but everything else in here
What the hell?
was so good, man. And there's a whole bunch of these These are the only ones I've ever seen. Colin is versed. Oh, and that's that same one again. Colin is very versed in this comics line, so I know he has a bunch. But I was genuinely surprised at how good those stories were. When all I expected was boobs, you know what I mean? So there was really good writing. That 110 Pills, looking into the history of that erotic story. It dates back hundreds, if not thousands of years in Chinese culture and has been talked about for so long as kind of like the first of erotic writing, you know. So yeah,
So
very, very entertaining.
How old is this Cha-Cha Comics anyway? So are they
I'm not sure. Let's have a peek inside.
Because that just looks so bizarre. I don't even think.
Let's see. So 1990 is when this came out. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at quite a long time ago. And some of Magnus's comics, his art is so goddamn good, or their art, because I think Magnus is a combination of a couple of different artists, two different artists that create under a pen name of Magnus. So yeah, just a very, very surprising. Again, like, who needs new comics when there's so much to discover out there, right? Like, there's so much in the history of comics to uncover that I'd never heard of them other than through Collins. So
yeah. Well, you have to come across something like that in order to actually even understand it, or you picked it up in the 1990s when that actually was published.
That's right.
And then how many would you like willingly say, oh yeah, I did pick up those when 1990s came out? Do you know what I mean? So that's interesting. It looks very, very cool cover art. What you show. It looked very nice.
Yeah. Well, and then there's a few other titles. I don't know how many they did total. They didn't do very much, maybe a dozen, something like that. So there's a few other artists that are associated with it, and they all have the same kind of presentation. And, you know, now it's something that I'm on the lookout for. I don't know if I'll ever be able to find anything else. This might have been my one opportunity to pick these kind of things up. But if they're out there, I'll sniff them out at some point.
And for this year, what are you looking forward to, comic-wise? Do you have anything you...
Honestly, Dimwood is the thing. Oh, Kamui. I'm very, very, very excited about Kamui. Very excited. And I'm also very excited for Dimwood. Like, I'm so looking forward to getting New Corbin. A New Corbin story that has never been published before. I'm really excited about that. And Fantagraphics, I'm always looking forward to seeing what Fantagraphics puts out. I'm really looking forward to Living the Line, their manga line of comics.
Yes.
I'm very excited. The manga line is called Smudge is the comics line. So that's the only one that I have from their manga line so far, UFO Mushroom Invasion. I'm really looking forward to seeing what else they put out. I know they've announced, I think, 2 more titles already. And I don't remember even what the titles are. Colin might have shown them in his last previews video, actually, because he points them out in his previews video.
Oh, they are in the catalog as well?
They are, yeah, which I didn't know they were either. So that was a nice surprise. I think they've been in there for a little while now. Again, they're really trying to push to be proper publishers. They're not kind of cutting corners. They're trying to get out there. And I think having like Ryan Holmberg is the guy that's kind of heading up this Smudge, from what I understand. He's kind of the infamous guy who's translated a bunch of oddball manga that people hadn't really heard about. So he's kind of at the forefront of this Smudge, like uncovering and presenting artists that we're not as familiar with over here. So
you're answering the question I wanted to ask. Are they translated things which were already, or their work has been already published in Japan, I presume? Yes.
Yep. All stuff that's already been out from creators. And I think like he does in all of his books, is Holmberg does a great job at the back of doing write-ups. He also, there's somebody else here, Udagawa Takeo, who does a whole write-up in the back about the creator. Shirakawa Marina, I think is how you pronounce the name. So talking about their time in comics and showing off some of the covers. of things that they've done. So Holmberg does a really good job of giving you the history. Like, look at those covers, man. Those are
Oh, wait, wait, wait.
fantastic covers, dude. That era of
Oh, yeah.
manga is great.
So,
Yeah,
wow,
so they
70s,
do a really good
70s.
job of giving you a nice, concise history. And, you know, because he also did this. One of the first times that I discovered Holmberg was through this Bloody Stumps Samurai, which is a fantastic manga. And he does a very detailed write-up
Oof.
about the story and the history, gives you some samples and things. So he knows his shit, and then he uncovers history for you. So this was a really great read from a number of years ago now. But yeah, so he's a good guy to have at the helm, I think.
So do you think they want to go the route Fantagraphics is doing what they're doing, or they want to be just their own publishing house?
I mean, it sounds like they have very clear ideas of what they want to do. It sounds like the stuff that they're presenting and the stuff that they're publishing, it seems to me that their focus is really on presenting cartoonists and works that are previously really unfamiliar in North America. Because that Exile book was something that was unfamiliar in North America by a guy who was a very established cartoonist and just artist. So, and it's beautiful, and they do a beautiful presentation. So sort of Fantagraphics, I guess, but I would say more so in line with like maybe the Fantagraphics Underground imprint, where, because that Underground imprint is all about kind of presenting cartoonists that don't have very much exposure. So I think it's the same with them. They have exposure in other parts of the world, just not North America. And I mean, they're on top of it. I can't wait to see what they do, and I can't wait to see what they've sent me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some more stuff from them for sure.
That's why you're singing a good song, eh?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, for transparency, like after on Wednesday, so they had a contest recently. It turns out I won the contest for kind of helping promote their channel, which was really, really nice of them. So they sent me some stuff, but of course we've had a postal strike. It's now off. The strike is over. Everybody's back to work. They had been for a couple of weeks at this point, 3 weeks maybe at this point. So we're slowly starting to get things. So I'm hoping that any day now there might be a little prize package from Living the Line, which I'm very excited about and obviously appreciative and thankful. So I'm really looking forward to reading more.
I'm looking forward for new surprises, hopefully, if I'll be able to be exposed to it the way I have. And I'm looking forward to hopefully reading, enjoying the Spawn universe a bit more, like something like that. The Changing Man omnibus is on my mind, because we never know if I
Me
want
as
to,
well.
because I want probably gonna go into it because I don't have clearly all the run I wanted to read of that. It would be interesting to have. And also I'm looking forward to see Vertigo title based books. I'm very curious, not sure if I'm going to even pull anything. I think I will be quite cautious. Maybe if I see creators I like, definitely probably gonna go for the at least one issue just to see what is this all about. But I'm cautious about that because I just hope it's not gonna be a gimmick from DC comic books, which is tends to happen with these big two companies, in order to get you coming back and be surprised by. But yeah, it's the collected editions are always very good. I mean, if I would go that route, then I don't have any budget whatsoever. Then for the comics I pull, if I would go collected editions, because it seems to be wherever I look, whatever comes out, it's just like so much. Now the DC line has all those reprints going on with that small format, or the Essential line, which is basically their epic run, like what Marvel is doing their own stuff. So that's, if you want to go that route, I'm curious about it because I do like the history, because at the end of the day, that's where they come from. And that nostalgic feel to the stories is still it always appeals to me. But never know what's going to be with the independent books. More independent, like Image. I can't even call Image anymore independent.
Exactly.
They're becoming such a beast of the company already, because they have like such a big chunk of books in the market, and that is so difficult to know if I want to get hold of any of the books coming out. But also you miss out, like if you don't pick up or you don't get surprised, like you don't know about it, you miss out. You can't really want to pick up those number ones from get go because they just don't exist or they get overpriced. So
Mhm.
we are very lucky when it comes to comic books in generally. So for me to look
Totally.
forward to is always, there's always gonna be something
Yeah.
very good to read. There's always gonna
Absolutely.
be.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's the thing
that's no.
that's why I kind of shit on people often who say that comic books are dead and there's nothing interesting. It's like,
No.
you have not opened your eyes and looked into it because you couldn't be more fucking wrong. We have exposure to so much more manga that we ever did. We have exposure to the mainstream comics. We have companies like Image and Dark Horse that are kind of maybe not competing financially, but competing in the minds of comic readers as they are now part of that upper echelon of like the top 4. We have independent comics and self-published comics that are way easier, even if the shipping is sometimes something that stops you. With social media, you can find out so much more about comics that you never would have heard of in the past, people self-publishing things. And that goes like globally, more specifically for me, I hear more about the North American and United States independents and self-published stuff, but it exists other places too. Like there's so much out there. We're pretty damn lucky to, if you can financially afford it, you can have access to so many different comics, so many different styles of comics, right? So yeah.
The best thing is if you do have a comic book shop, it's just go inside and look, and talk if you can. Of course, that's not another point. Like get comfortable with the people in the comic book shops if you are lucky enough to have one, because believe me, it opens up the world a little bit more. And then like YouTube, it opens even more. If you want to get into world of that, oh my God, there's so much going on there. There's lots of people with different tastes.
Totally.
And of course, if you want independence, go to watch Comic Cracks, because you guys can clearly see, can show you lots of things you can discover in that one. So
before we sign off, is there anything big? Do you have any big purchase in mind this year? Like, is there anything that's kind of on your radar that
the only at the moment, the only one is the Shade Changeman Omnibus is the only thing I was, because I'm surprised you didn't even put that the Batman Artist Edition of Mazzucchelli's. I would be proud he's displaying.
No, for sure, it's here. I'm definitely proud of it, for sure. Absolutely. It didn't really make the list because it wasn't necessarily something that I read, you know what I mean? Exactly, it was more like something that I bought, a big ticket item that I bought.
But it's a beaut. Honestly,
it's fucking gorgeous.
He has actually made a video of paging through the pages of that book, and it's a beautiful thing. So I don't know what I really want for next year is Terrence's camera just.
I'm still here, but stupid fucking camera.
I wonder if your camera is just like
might be just dying. Who knows?
Yeah. What I'm looking forward to is maybe this year go at least once to a comic mart.
That would be awesome.
That would be nice. So I don't know when, if the stars will align when it comes to everything. Like I would like to go, because I miss that feel to go to that comic mart. Just that, like not the stink, but the books.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking for, because I would like to see and feel what it feels like now, because I must feel it must have changed quite a bit. So my goal is to go once to comic mart, and once to maybe several times go to comic book shops if I do tend to travel, and that would be fun. Ooh,
Jay,
they actually
I had no idea that they're doing an animation of witches. That's incredible.
What? Really?
Because I really enjoyed it when I read it. It was damn good, man.
Yeah. Well, Jay, you surprised us once again with this.
Yeah, good work, Jay.
Did not even know that Witches. I remember reading Witches clearly from Snyder's work on that. Oh, there you go. So you're a fan. You must be a fan of the comic as well, then. I
Hmm.
didn't even know. Wow, actually interesting. Yeah, that was very trippy. So because it's the what is his name? The artist who did the witches. What's his name?
Fucked if I remember right now.
Oh, he done
I
that
don't see the
cover.
book anywhere
Oh,
close to me.
it doesn't come. But anyway, so the artist was very cool.
Yes,
Oh, and he loves
I'm
the
sure
comic book, and he read it
Jay will
many
tell
many
us. He'll
times.
drop that name toot sweet, I bet you,
Yeah.
before I can
So
find the book.
no, I don't recall. It's just like it's like like you have but you can't say it. It's like right.
Hmm.
Jock. Was it Jock?
I don't think it was. Oh, it was
Yes.
Jock? Okay, yeah, it was Jock. Yeah, good work.
I got
Yes,
see.
good work.
Somehow came out in the same.
You just
Yeah.
beat him. Just.
Yeah. Well, my brain caught up. I told you I had that inkling because you know what I was thinking about that famous Batman cover, who is basically everybody wants to get hold of those bats. Those bats going
Yes.
crazy on the cover, the white cover. Anyway, yeah. So that's my goal. Is I enjoy comic books, and so I have no worries about that. So I'm definitely gonna have something to pick up and wonder. But I'm just looking forward to see what is surprising. Will there be something surprising and everybody going to talk about it? That will be interesting in comic books.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
we'll
then
see what happens.
Several TV shows. Hopefully Revival comes out, which, in saying, I even took it out. My Revival #1.
Oh, yeah, wow.
So I'm going
Are you going to sell it?
No, I'm going to read it. What are you talking about? I'm going to reread it. So this is Tim Seeley's and Mike Norton's Baba, and this is where Jenny Frison got her license to go crazy for the covers, and everybody now she's #1. So this is how it starts. Yeah, it's very cool. It's one of so this is gonna come out. They doing the castings already. So you keep on announcing new cast members. Who's gonna do the show. So I wonder if it's gonna be this year. I don't know if it's gonna be, but there's Revival in the works, Criminal in the works now, Scott Snyder's animated thing in the works. So it's quite a lot to look forward to. Let's see if they're gonna come out. But I'm definitely rereading that because it's been a long ass time. So it came out when this $2.99 price tag was a thing.
Yeah, wow.
2012.
Yeah, I was going to say at least 10 years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Ancient. 12
It's
years
crazy.
old. Can't believe 12 years old. So this is the beginning. This is one of the things I started picking up when I started reading comic books, and I was really excited about it. So yeah, cool. So yeah, I even took it. This is I'm already putting some stuff which I want to read from my collection. So this is how I do it. This becomes a bit more saving and then plus enjoying the things and go back and reread it. Why not? 12 years ago I read it. That's why I'm a bit blanky on the story. I know the pregnancy part. Spoiler alert. There's a pregnancy.
Have you looked in to see how much that one goes for since all this has been announced?
No.
No, I haven't looked either. I was just curious if you did. I mean, I assume it's probably a couple of bucks if it's #1 and all that. Is it a first printing?
Oh yeah. Look at me so confident saying, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I would accept nothing less.
£14 for #1 issue. £15.
Okay, that's not so crazy.
No, it's not gone crazy. It's it's not that it's I mean it's just like it will come if the trailer comes out. That's when you check the price, I think.
Right. Well, sometimes at the announcement level too, like sometimes there's a there's a little spike, but you really have to hit that, Yeah,
exactly. So, but this is one of the books I really loved reading every time, and those sisters and all that stuff, and then because you get like, come on, man, your main character.
Yeah.
It's the first issue. She gets
crazy. That's crazy.
So and then those teeth. Is this the comic book where the first issue they showed the teeth? No, I don't think so. Oh yeah, this is it. So she's not live. So she's been spitting teeth because they keep growing
Mm.
back. It's such a weird, bizarre storyline, but this is really good
Uh,
Mike Norton work, and he's Battle Pug comic. That's his book. He's been doing it from some millennia ago, but yeah, he is the one who is doing. There's even an interview, the Third Degree Mike Norton. So yeah, it's really cool. And then look at the slew of comic books came out in that Image Comics.
Color.
Yeah, Saga. You see Saga?
Yeah, Saga, of course. Yeah. Is that
Bulletproof.
Prophet there beside it as well?
Yes. Yeah, Prophet. Mine.
Oh, the Bulletproof Coffin in there, Fatale.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was crazy. Grim Reapers. Yeah, it's
Yeah, wow.
Invincible. Yeah, so it's lots of stuff happening in that time. Fatale, Glory was really cool. I read it in no, it was The Thieves of Thieves that everybody was talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had
Saga
that.
was like
I had that and then I sold it because all of a sudden the first issue was spiking in price, so I sold it to make a couple of bucks.
They were talking about doing the TV movie or
That's
TV,
right.
Something
like that. That's why I ended up selling it, because there was some announcement, and people started going crazy for it. So
yeah, Bulletproof Coffin. This
yeah, Shaky Kane.
Yeah, Shaky Kane stuff. Yeah, so lots of stuff. Anyway, so I was thinking, since we spoke and mentioned it, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna look. Where's my comics? And guess what? So like an idiot, I placed Image Comics, which I have a special case for Image Comics, somewhere in the middle of a random box. It was like, why? Why?
Yeah.
You know, like that's why I'm saying sometimes my silly organization brain does not click really well when it comes to it. Well, anyway, so anything else to mention? What you gonna read next? Oh.
What I'm gonna read next, I don't know. I'm looking around to see. Oh, I mean, I'm gonna probably get tucked in again because I realize I found volume 2 of the Collected Sandman, and I have 1 and 3. So I've had this. I started reading this quite a while ago, and I never finished it. I started reading it this year, actually. I don't think I ever put it in my book, but I would like to continue with this because now I have the first 3 volumes. My brother had picked up volume 3 for me for a birthday present when he was here. And number 2 came up in this sale, that short store that I went to that had a sale. That one didn't have a very major discount, but it was a couple of bucks anyway, so I figured I'd pick it up. So I do want to get into that because I've never actually read all of Sandman. So
me neither. How is it expensive the way they printed that way? Because there's so many times it was Sandman has been printed.
Not bad, I don't think. So this first one, which is how many pages?
Looks like 300.
Oh, it doesn't have a page count, unfortunately. It's fucking beefy though. This cost me $40 Canadian. So whatever that is, American, $29.99 US, $39.99 Canadian. So not too bad considering what you get, you know. So the next volumes aren't as thick as this one, but yeah, and I think that they're probably about the same price. Let's have a quick look since they're all here.
Yeah.
Oh no, the price went up. So volume 1 was $29.99. Volume 2 was $34.99. And volume 3 was $34.99, even though they're thinner volumes than this first one, right? So they got you in on the first one and then jacked the prices up $5. Sons of bitches.
That's how I still cannot believe the way they collect them in that hardcover is so beautiful.
It is beautiful, for sure it is.
Omnibus, and they use £65 a pop if you find them actually at that price though. The first one is 65 and then it goes 70, usually £70 a pop for one, and there's 3 of them, so that's lots of dineros just to drop on the, but they look like they leather bound, so it's like really
cool. they're really nice looking.
Yeah, I saw some, I think Ghost, what is it? What is his name tag?
Ghost Critic?
Yeah, Ghost Critic was doing
Jesus.
Yeah, he was showing off his those leather bounds, and they were like, I
That's
was
a
like,
long time ago. Ghost Critic, Jesus.
oh, yeah. So yeah, he was doing that. Oh, I remember names.
Yeah.
So, 12 years ago, something like that. Ghost
Yeah,
Critic was
right. Yeah,
doing
yeah.
videos.
Well, I mean, he was one of the guys with
Yeah,
Damien who
me
was
too.
here previously. I don't know if he's
Yeah,
still there, but Ghost
yeah,
Critic and
one of
Damien
them.
were the first two that I saw.
Yeah,
And then very quickly discovered a whole bunch of other people, but those are the first two because I remember
yeah,
I still have a post on my Instagram when I first discovered them because I remember posting to Instagram because there was some people that I worked with that were comic fans as well, and I was like, have you ever heard of these guys? You should check out what these guys are doing on YouTube, so yeah.
yeah. All
Fucking
right.
Ghost Critic, Jesus.
Yeah, you see, I do remember them names. I met
Mm-hmm.
him, so we kind of
Sure did, yeah.
stays in your brain.
You, him, and Dr. Monkeybot. You were all three together.
Yeah, that was like
It's awesome. I'm
something
super
that
jealous of that.
I was never thought that it will happen.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't, because one is from north, another one from south, and I was here east, sort of.
Okay.
No, west. But my south is still anyway. It doesn't matter. But it
Yeah.
just sometimes logistically doesn't work. But it worked once. That was
Mhm.
hilarious. And then me and Ghost Critic
It was
went to have
Comic March you guys went to, wasn't it?
yeah. So me and Ghost Critic were like, oh, I'm a bit thirsty. Do you want a drink? It's like, yeah, go on. So we sat next to it while Dr. Monkeybot was doing
Yeah.
picking his book still up, and we were like,
Of
we're
course he
sitting
was,
up,
yeah.
we drink almost finishing our pints, and then he decided to come and join us. Like, Jesus,
Yeah, yeah.
where have you been? It's like, no, I still have to go there. It's like,
Yeah, gotta dig, yeah.
I'm not done
I would
yet.
be with him. I would be torn between
Yeah.
having a pint and going to dig, but I would kind of maybe
would-
go have a dig and then have a pint. But yeah.
we just wanted to sit down and just chill
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit, and he took it
Yeah.
extremely serious, and he had a suitcase ready. It was like just hilarious.
Hilarious.
And then by
Wow.
the end of the, well, he probably the last to leave because I think I left first, and then he, by the time I saw him, the suitcase was already full, and he was debating whether he will have enough space.
Yeah.
Because he still had like a stack he wanted to buy. I was like, oh my god, it's like about 400 comic books in that suitcase, and you still want
Oh, I
more.
believe it.
Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah, that was
That
really
is hilarious.
Good moment for sure.
Yeah.
One of good memories.
Yeah.
And one of the first
That's
ones, I was so nervous. When you don't know, you meet people, you meet somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
it's nerve-wracking because it's not this, right? Like it's
Yeah.
now in person. It's now
Exactly.
you're not
It's
just
not a
seeing me from
picture.
here up. Now I'm an actual person. I'm a human
Uh-huh.
being that exists, not just
Yeah.
a screen, right? Like it's
Exactly.
it's like when I met Colin and when I met Comic Guy Rules, who's one of the guys that lives here.
Yeah.
It's just an odd experience. I mean, you get over it. And Ryan Carey as well, met Ryan, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's great to see them. You get over it pretty quick. But yeah, there's definitely a little bit of nervousness of an internet friendship to like a real life conversation,
Exactly. And you're just like, I don't know how they're gonna be, and the picture is this, but you never know. But then they were exactly what you see on you used to see on the video. That's how the humans we were. So it's just nice.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, so and this review we did. Now we on this right schedule.
That's right. We've reset our clocks now. That's it. Yeah.
Now in 2020, we take it seriously. 2025. Let's see where it comes.
Deadly seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see next. Definitely on Terrence's will be.
Yes.
The next podcast.
Yeah, I should be around next week. Hopefully I've read something. I do want to head to the comic shop because I want to get that Usagi specifically, but I also want to see what else is out there.
Best Usagi. And then we will see you. That's what we have to say.
We sure will. Okay.
Enjoy your 2025 and
later.
Happy New
Thanks
Year.
for hanging out there, Jay. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Jay. Thank you for scribbling all those new informations for us and Sleep Reader when you were there. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Have a great week.